Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today is a great example about hustling and working towards something you're passionate about. He's an illustrator, designer. He's co-owner of Toy Snobs, an 80s, 90s toy pop culture clothing brand, and creative director of Outrank brand. Please welcome Friks84, Alex Lopez. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, bro? How's it going, man?
Doing well, man. Doing well. So before we start, I always ask the question, what's your favorite go-to sandwich?
Man, when I do get a cheat meal, I'll get a craving from Jersey Mike's.
Okay.
And their chicken Philly.
Really?
Yeah, the steak Philly is good, but I don't know. Their chicken Philly puts a smile on my heart.
I would have figured something being in Miami. I guess when you live somewhere in like the Miami area, you don't tend to appreciate as much like a Cuban or steak sandwich or anything like that.
But see, that's like normal to me.
I know.
Oh, you know what? No, you know what? I'm gonna take this back. I'm gonna take Jersey Mike's back. You know what? Because yes, there's a breakfast sandwich. There's a spot that I grew up. There's a spot called Miwi's Cafe right by where I grew up.
Okay.
And it's called the Number 28. It's the best breakfast sandwich that exists because it's a steak and egg sandwich, but they put little papitas in it. It's the thinnest steak in the world.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just the way they put it and the way they season it, and then they throw this magic sauce. It's called the Miwi sauce. They don't know. They don't tell you what it is, and that thing is amazing. That's the best sandwich.
That gets me excited. The chicken Philly sounds good, but yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, it's their sandwich.
All right. I like it. Now it makes me want to go back. My problem is my parents just moved up from South Florida, moved up to where I live. So now I'm like, they went down to visit it, and I was just fortunate enough. Like the one thing we asked for, we're like, can you go to Vicky's Bakery or somewhere and pick up pastelitos and croquetas and all that stuff? So that's what they did. They brought us like a whole bunch back. So it was definitely good.
There's no Cuban spots up there.
Yeah, there is, but it just tastes different, man. It just hits different when you get it from South Florida. It's just something about it. I don't know what it is. It just hits different.
It's the water, bro. It's the water.
Yeah. It probably is. Like I want to go visit Sandwich, Miami, because I've heard amazing things about them, and the owners seem amazing. And I know people that actually have done Gold Belly to bring the sandwiches in. But I don't want to do that either. Like I want to eat it. I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather go and actually eat it and experience it and do all that. So, I mean, there's good Cuban spots here like that I go to, but not the same. Not the same.
It's not the same. Okay. I mean, it's not even that far. I would think, it's not even that far. Yeah. I know there's a lot of Cubans in Orlando.
Yeah. I mean, we have some spots, but it hits different. It's not the same.
There hasn't been the right spot.
Yeah, I haven't found exactly it. I mean, I found a few where they hit the spots for some things, but not for pastelitos and stuff like that. Like the things that you want to, the cheat stuff that you want to enjoy.
Right.
So basically everything that from what I researched and what I loved from just seeing other interviews and things that you did, so that you don't kind of have to talk about it over again. But I know that you studied graphic design in like 2006. You were a barber for like 10 years. And then in 2011, you kind of started Friks84 doing like designing apparel, logos, murals. How did that process go? Because like, how did you go from studying that, doing kind of like basically having a full-time job paying your bills to then making that switch to say, okay, I'm going to switch now and start actually doing logos and designs and kind of, doing my own thing full-time?
Yeah. It was honestly, I felt looking back in hindsight now, it was honestly the longest, most treacherous, patient building time because I graduated college in 2006, and back then I was cutting hair still, and do you remember that website monster.com?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always loved taking my laptop to the barbershop because when I wasn't cutting, I was designing, drawing something. That's just how I passed my time. And I was always on there looking for design jobs. And I couldn't fathom leaving the barbershop to go get a $15 an hour job when I can make $15 in 15 minutes. Yeah. Like it just didn't register, flow, I didn't consider making bad money. I just didn't want to cut hair anymore. Like I was tired of the hair splinters. I was tired of working weekends. I was just because weekends is where the bigger money's at. I was tired of holidays. Like you got to go Christmas Eve, you got to go Thanksgiving, like New Year's Day. Like all the holidays are the best days. Back to school weekend. So I just couldn't fathom that until it got to a point in 2010. I guess I was just like really tired of being a barber, and somebody approached me with a job opportunity, for an interview. Somebody was leaving the company. It was for a t-shirt designing company, and they worked with different licenses and that. So I thought it was super cool, but the pay was about 30,000 less than what I was currently making. So I was like, whoa, all right. So then I started wrapping my head around it. I went in for the interview. He gave me the first number, and I was like, I can't. It's just, I can't, And then I guess he really wanted me to get the job, so he bumped it up a little bit. I thought about it for a couple of days, and funny story. So I was making decent money, but I was broke at the same time because I was so drowned in debt that it doesn't matter how good my week was, it all went out. So I even remember for that job interview, I had to wear a shoelace as a belt because I couldn't go buy a belt for the only pair of pants that I owned. So I had to wear a shoelace of a shoe that I found in my car, and then that's how I went for the interview. And I remember my laptop had crashed at that moment, so I had to get on. I remember I think I had at that time it was before the iPhone. I want to say I had the Crazer, so I had images of designs on that. So I remember going to Kinko's and having somebody help me out, print stuff out into a portfolio from my phone. It was super pixelated, but it got the job done, and the art director thought it was good enough for it to work. But yeah, man, I was going through a real hard time. So then to hear the word pay cut, I'm just like, man, you're killing me right now. And so I said yes, and I was like, you know what? For a little bit, I'll just go there Monday through Friday, and then I'll cut hair on the weekends if I can bunch up everyone on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. And so I did that for like about 4 months until freelance started happening. There was a website. This is before Instagram and all that stuff. There was a website called Coral Flop, and I remember the first people started hitting me up through there just by me posting. I was just posting up what I was designing at work. But since we were doing projects for like Disney, Dickies, bunch of different licenses, it looked like I was like legit when I really wasn't. But then that's what started bringing in freelance, and I was like, oh, this is where it's at. And then I remember that like around month 5 or 6, like I quit cutting hair, and I just stayed designing. And then I was at that company for a year. I started in April 2010. I remember like 2 months later, that's when my ex-wife got pregnant at the time. And I remember we were like, no, we're not ready yet. Like we're broke. But something happened in those 9 months where it kind of like the freelance started, and I was like, okay, we're gonna be okay. And then towards the end, the freelance was really kicking off. And then I remember the following April, like exactly a year later, I landed a contract to work from home. That was kind of like basically replacing my paycheck. It was maybe like $100 a week difference, but now I'd have to spend money on lunch, and I'd have to spend money on gas because the job was far. It was like 45 minutes away. So, and with traffic. So for like 45 minutes there, maybe like an hour back. So I was like, it's probably like the same amount, like, and now I have the like 100% of the time to focus on freelance too. Like I can home, I'm more flexible. And then I remember my first day working from home, my ex-wife goes into labor. So it was like the perfect timing. Like you can't map that out. It was like I was there, it was like 2:00. Oh, we gotta go to the hospital. Oh, okay. But so that's when I did the transition. And I did freelance from home for like about 7 years. 7 years. I did that from 2011 all the way up to 2018. And then but in 2015, that's when I started working with Outrank brand.
Wow.
And they were good clients. We had like a retainer going for a certain amount of designs per week, and good relationship, great people to work with.
Okay.
And then in 2018, the owner was venting to me a little bit about their in-house designer, and I had a solution for him. I was like, bro, just fire him, give me more work. It's fine. Like, I love you guys. And then I guess he kind of took that a little literal. So we had like a sit down meeting. They just really wanted somebody to come in house, and obviously one thing that people love about freelancing is their freedom, like their flexibility and stuff like that. So I mean that was one of my biggest concerns, because I had two little girls, and I needed to be very. It doesn't slow down either. It doesn't like
and they're
like
too active.
Today is my youngest. She's 5. Today's her first day on
no it doesn't.
on an actual team.
I have a 12-year-old, so I know.
And so now it's 3 times a week, 3 hours a day. Pretty intense for a 5-year-old. It's pretty intense. But whatever, she's crushing it. She's killing it. And the owner of the gym is like, we need her on the team. I'm like, oh no, and she loves it. So it's like, if she doesn't love it, if she didn't love it or didn't care for it, I wouldn't care. But the little girl lives in doing splits. Like, I don't understand. Like, she lives practicing. But yeah, not to veer off. And then so we had a talk, and then we kind of worked out a schedule that just made sense for them, made sense for me. Obviously, I feel like I reached a point in freelancing that I don't want to say I capped myself out, but I just like it. There was nothing really exciting, like I felt like there's only so much one person can do in one day that, that's it. There's only a good handful of hours that you can really work and make a certain amount. And like, I wanted to start seeing growth. I wanted to change. I was also going through, at that time in 2018, I was also going through a lot of things other than career. I also, after the divorce, I fell into the drug, a little drug phase that kind of like took me to a dark place. But so after I got my crap together and sought help, I needed like a big change too. So that at that time is when me and him had that conversation. I was like, man, this would probably be good for me too, like mentally, not only career wise. Like I felt like it was like a good double-edged sword. Like it's gonna help me on my personal side, and it's gonna help me in my career side. So that I don't have to stop doing freelance, but now I can become more of a member of society versus being like a hermit crab in my own little shell, my own little laboratory creating stuff. But and I have no regrets, man. I love working with them. I love seeing the growth in the company. I love the vision we have for it. Like it's going places. Like since I started it, like I saw them when they were little, and when I started working with them, they got pretty big, and it just doesn't stop. They're like a virus. They're pandemic proof, because even during the pandemic, we only stopped for like a good month, and they were like, "Yo, Friks, we need to keep going." Like,
and you're like, let's go. Yeah. That's awesome, man. And then tell me a little bit about Toy Snobs, because from what I remember, or from what I've seen, just from looking, it looked like it evolved. It looked like, and I know you're co-owners with it, with like one of your best friends, right? And then from what it looked like it originally started in 2015, and it was mostly like old toys. And then in 2016, it looks like you got kind of involved in it. And then it became more than just toys. It became like clothing and all that stuff. So tell me a little bit about that story, how that came about.
So Will and I go back as far as 10th grade. That's when we met. We shared the same science class, and we hit it off because we were both into graffiti at the time. And if you remember back in high school, like if you had there was the kid with the little black book, you switch it around with people, and people. So that's what we did. That's how we got to know each other, and we've been cool since 10th grade. It was like in 2015, he approached me with the idea, and I guess I wasn't feeling it at the time. Like I was like, because he knew I like toys. I know he was into toys, but I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it at the time. Maybe a couple months passed by later, and he approaches me again, and this time I was feeling it. Because I didn't look at it so much as like the brand aspect. I looked at it more as like, man, this is like not an overly saturated market. Like I was looking at it more from like a business point of view. And I felt like, I work a lot in the streetwear community, but I was like, I don't touch this area at all. So it'd be kind of cool to have like a personal project going on that's in this area and if anybody were to hit me up in this area, I'll turn it down because I don't want to, compete with myself. And honestly, man, it's been so much fun. It's like yeah, it's a brand and we owe it. It's creating income, but it just feels like we do it for fun. Like it doesn't even feel like work. So
well, what I love about it is the fact that you guys like mismatch like two different areas of like nostalgia. You bring back like stuff from like 80s, 90s, and it's just kind of, I absolutely love how you guys have been able to kind of blend that. How do you guys come up with those like the mishmash? And then like, because you have stuff like the heavyweights, like you have like, what I mean, like there's things where I'm like, where the heck did they get that? Where did they even come up with that? I mean, how did you guys even, I mean, obviously I know you've grown quite a bit, so you now have quite a bit of people that know you, so that might help. But like, how do you come up with some of these like mismatch ideas or concepts?
I mean, I can't take all the credit. I know I'm a pretty creative person, but my partner is super creative as well. So like maybe he can't be able to like execute certain designs, but he comes up with really great ideas. So he for the heavyweights, for instance, he developed a relationship with Aaron, the actors from the movie, like they created a relationship. Yeah. And then after a little while, they were like, bro, maybe we should do a t-shirt together. And they were all for it, and Aaron was all for it. And he helped promote it. That was just so much fun, and then we dropped it again. It did performed well again. And it was actually my partner's idea to give it like that whole like Wu-Tang flip. We look.
No, it was great.
Perfect, bro. I love that shirt.
It was great, man.
It's right here.
Tell me a little bit. Now you're wearing it. That's pretty funny. Tell me a little bit, because if you guys don't know about Toy Snobs, definitely check it out while you're listening. Check out their Instagram, and definitely check them out. One of my favorite parts about it is the fact that and when I talk about mishmash, this is like a perfect example of it. So their mascot is Turtle Tour, and he's like a Skeletor meets Ninja Turtle. Like that's just genius, man. Like I absolutely love them. And the best part is you guys have actually made them into toys a few times now. And it keeps getting better and better, your iterations of them. So like, was that a Lee thing too, or was that a you, or was that like the two of you guys just spitfiring? And then how do you guys come up with
I'll definitely take all the credit for that one. All right, I'll take the credit for Turtle Tour. Okay, so good. My favorite is Ninja Turtles. My partner Will's favorite has always been He-Man. And I was like, it'd be cool. And then I don't know why, but I remember it was at the beginning of the coming up with the logo stage and stuff like that. I was like, man, a Ninja Turtle bone, skeleton, Skeletor. And then when I just told him the idea, he was like, man, that sounds pretty crazy. And then as soon as I drew it out, I remember there was like no revisions, no nothing. Like it just came out. I mean, we revised it since then. We made it more like the old school version, but it was just perfect. Mm-hmm. Like it was perfect. And that's it. So then obviously, you start getting to know people that have like 3D printers or we met this person that did like 3D renderings, and we kind of worked something out and he did it for us. And we're like, man, this looks crazy. Cause all we had was like a mock-up, and then somebody 3D printed it out for us and we're like, man, this is crazy, like whatever. So then we were like, man, it got to a point we started investigating and I was like, oh, production on these are, just creating like the cast and the molding, like, it comes with a price tag, So I was like, we're going to do this, but, later, And then it got to a time where we're like, finally last year, it got to a time where we were like, all right, let's do it. And we made the official toy of it. It's been a little back and forth with China. I guess there's just delays on everything because this has dragged out for like a good 6 months already. But the toys are officially on the way. So I appreciate everybody's patience and stuff like that. And they were able to help us out because, we've been very patient because normally the production was like about 3-4 months and we're on month 6, So, but I'm really excited. We're already talking about like the re-release, maybe like a variation, I don't want to say too much, but.
No. I don't need you. I don't want you to share just all the secrets. I just wanted people to know about it because it's like that was one of those where I'm like, man, talk about, and the fact that the story is a marriage of both your loves, that makes it that much better because it's like it works out perfect then. Since you deal and design with so many brands, why do you think some brands make it and others don't?
Consistency. So many people get like, I feel like unmotivated when things aren't going their way. But I remember me thinking about like just my design career. I was like, man, I got pretty successful being a barber, but it's because I showed up every day when I was didn't want to be there, when I wanted to be there, when it was a good day, when it was a bad day, when I was fighting with somebody. When I was just there, consistency.
Yeah.
So I remember when I started Friks84, like the company, I was like, I gotta stick to this, man. I gotta stick to this and do the same thing I did in the barbershop. But to this, everybody knows me as a barber. I want to be known as a designer. I feel like consistency is what gets you there. That's really it. Like there's no other way. You got to go through the good stuff, the crap, the BS. You got to go through it all and push through.
I totally agree with that. I also think, and I guess, and I was wondering on your aspect of it when you start seeing some of the brands, and obviously you could definitely be more selective when you're in your freelance, but I know that from what I've seen, some other brands, the consistency is definitely a key word in the sense that their brand is not consistent throughout. So they don't follow, they're sometimes all over the place. And when they're all over the place, it just becomes a mess. And sometimes that becomes hard as well. So that's like another thing that I also notice sometimes with some brands, how they kind of go. So I totally see that, and I agree with that. The idea of constantly just putting your time in, and just being there. And I always been saying progress over perfection, and it's literally that. Just kind of keep building it and kind of keep going. So I totally agree with you. So I've mentioned this before we started recording. Like, I've always enjoyed working with you. I've actually worked with Friks on a few designs with him, and it's like all of them are my favorites, just because he has a certain style that it just makes sense when you're looking for things. But the thing that I kind of enjoy also when we talk, because we've talked and we've talked in weird places. Like you and I've had like small conversations while I'm in a parking lot just talking. But the one thing that I will always say that I always feel inspired. I always feel your passion. And one of the things that I think that I enjoy the most and I think about is like your IG bio starts right off the bat, like stop thinking, start doing. Why do you think it's so hard for people to push through that? Like, and how do you do it?
Honestly, I think I've been using that phrase now since like the beginning I started. And it's like a constant reminder to myself, because sometimes I'll fall into that rabbit hole of like overthinking things when if you just shut up and start doing it, like even if it fails, like you gotta fail forward. Like, if you're not failing, you're not trying, you're not just do it. Just do it. And people they make times for those so many other things, but they don't like really invest in themselves, and it's sad. It's sad. Like they put like happy hour at such a priority when, investing in yourself, that's the real happiest hour you can give yourself, I mean, I don't like working out, but I love walking to the car when I leave, like I'm like, all right, cool. Good stuff, Alex. You made it today.
Yeah.
Just another day.
No, I get it, man. Have you, I'm kind of curious because it's funny because I watched this week and I don't know if you've seen it with the girls yet. Have you seen Luca with the Disney, the Pixar Plus?
We started watching it, but we didn't get to finish it.
So, it's funny because the same thing happened to us. I watched like a good 30 minutes of it and we ended up rewatching it again. But what made me laugh was, and it was perfect timing because of the fact that we were going to be talking today. And because one of the scenes of the movie, and you'll probably see it because he says it quite often. He, it's like that little person that talks to you that tries to give you fear. And in the movie, he goes, "Silencio, Bruno," and like that's what that's what he names. He named his fear or his person that's talking to him, and he basically says out loud, like, "Silencio, Bruno," like shut up, and then he does it. He does what he's scared of. And so like it was funny because as we were talking, like that was one thing that I've always kind of like when I think of you, that's what I think about, is kind of like, hey, take the chance, just start working towards it and making it happen. And things will work out. So yeah, so I thought about that when I saw the movie. I was like, I thought of you. I was like, oh, I wonder if he's seen it yet, and it'll probably ring true to him when he sees it.
No, and honestly, that little voice doesn't go away. There's always going to be something that like tries to stop you, and it's really yourself. It's everybody has two sides in their inner self. There's the motivator and the deteriorator. Like even this Wednesday when I had to do that core workout, I didn't want to. Like I really didn't want to. But then as the hour passed, I was like, I started getting like in a bad mood, and I was like, I'm gonna do it, and I felt so good afterwards. Like that's why I know I'm actually committing to this, because I feel bad if I don't do it, or I was gonna get in a bad mood because I wasn't gonna do it, because I've already, I guess, created that new routine, and that applies to everything. Like the routine for work, the routine with your family, the routine to your health. Everything is just building healthy routines.
Speaking of routines and trying to and find that balance of time and stuff, it's funny because whenever I talk to my wife and I tell people, like tell my wife who I'm going to talk to, she like the first thing out of her mouth almost every time, she's like, how does he balance it? How does he do it? How does he run all the businesses? Yeah, I know you goes, she's seen, because I've shown her like videos of you and the family and stuff. So she's like, how does she do it? How does he balance family and everything else? She's like, and I think a lot of it is because she's trying to I'm trying to always figure it out as well. So like, how do you know how you do it? Like, is there something you do or that you kind of balance, or is it good time management? What is it? Do you have a secret?
There's no secret. There's no secret. I mean, right now I co-parent. So, I mean, the weeks that I have one week with them, 1 week I don't have them. And the weeks that I don't have them, I'm grinding. Like I'm just going. I go to the Outrank office during the day, and when I come home, I clock back in and I work on my freelance stuff or toy snob stuff. Like I just grind. When they get here, I'm not saying I don't work, but I slow down the pace a little bit because I want them to know I'm there. Like I gotta take them to cheer practice. I gotta take them to gymnastics practice. I gotta, right now we're in summertime, but so now it's pool time. Like go outside and be with them in the pool. Just be with them. Just want them, let them know that I'm there. So I feel like you gotta be intentional. Like you make plans with them. Like today, like as soon as there's this art show that I've been wanting to catch, that a buddy of mine is a part of, and I haven't been able to catch it because of the timing. They close like at 6, so during the week it's just impossible. So I told them, okay, when Mila's done with gymnastics, we're gonna take showers, get ready, and go to an art show. Like, and they're all for it. I just feel like you gotta be intentional. I'm not perfect. Like there's no secret sauce. I mess up all the time. My wife is constantly telling me stuff, helpful, but telling me stuff. Like I make time too. Like she'll have to remind me, put your phone down. Like because I guess like my brain is just wired to just work. But sometimes I gotta get checked, or I gotta check myself and be present in the moment. Yeah, man.
No, I get that, man. I get that. One, you mentioned, kind of like how and I kind of figured that your brain's always kind of going. And I know that you're always kind of researching and kind of searching for inspiration and seeing different things. Where do you keep all those things? Cause like, I'm always curious on where people go, like how you collect all those things. And do you keep them in different notebooks? You have like one place where you just shove everything? Is it little post-it notes everywhere? What exactly, how are you doing it?
If it's verbiage, that I hear, that I get inspired from, I'll put it down in my notes. If it's imagery, there's Pinterest and my phone. If I'm out and about and I see something I like, I'm gonna take a picture of it. If I see something on the internet, take a screenshot. Once I use it, I'll delete it or archive it, or that's really just, I don't know. I feel like you can find inspiration everywhere, man. So it's really all around you. It's all around you.
Yep. No, I totally agree. That's kind of what my biggest thing now is, trying to figure out a way of harnessing it all together. Cause like you come up with ideas all the time, and then it's just making sure you write it down. Cause that's like the one thing is always capturing it. Is always the one I kind of feel is something that you kind of want to be able to do. So no, I totally get that. Wanted to talk to you a little bit because I saw on the Toy Snob page, you guys you've been doing more pre-orders lately. And I wanted you to talk to me a little bit about that, like what the thought process of doing the pre-orders, and is it something that because I know it's not something you guys just have done a lot of, but I'm just kind of curious because I've always kind of thought about it, and I just was wondering, like, from someone's perspective, what your thoughts about going the route of pre-order.
Okay. I mean, we started talking after talking to like a couple people and stuff like that. Like, we just inventory can get a little wacky at times. You miscount, whatever. It gets annoying, and we decided to try it. I remember I think we had a conversation with Johnny Cupcakes one time, and then that's kind of like shared a little intel, and we're like, man, let's just try it. And then we loved it. Like the response was good. We were like, okay. And then now we're able to control inventory. So if we sell X amount, we'll order X amount. That way, when we drop it again on the website, it's like controlled. And for the longest time, we were shipping out the shirts ourselves. And we use a printer that's like even out of state, just because since I have so many friends that are printers. Yeah. Just by being in graphics and stuff like that, and you just meet a lot of people. I honestly didn't want to make anybody feel bad, and by not using them, so I decided to go with somebody I don't know, and keep it fair. Really? Just business. I don't want to do a bad taste in anybody's mouth, so I just wanted to take it out of state. And we found this printer. We love him, and now we do fulfillment. We do everything. We have no inventory.
That's awesome. That's insane. If you saw, you obviously see behind me, this is just a fraction of what my stuff. And so I definitely understand that concept of it. And I do love the idea. And I've thought of the idea of going pre-order just for it'll, I think, and especially in your world, because in my world it's a little bit different, because obviously I rely on designers. So I can't go as much, come up with an idea and just throw it out there and see what it does. But it also does help to be able to go that route when you have, a bunch of ideas, throw it. It's a good way to figure out, like, do people like it, not like it, get good positive feedback if you're getting, because in that way you're not stuck with
right. You can control how many you got to produce.
No, it makes total sense. It might be something I'll be considering in the future for sure. What would you tell, and I know we've talked about consistency and pushing on, but like, what would you tell someone who's like possibly feels stuck, or they feel their brand is either stagnant or isn't growing?
Definitely, I feel like the first thing is don't give up. Don't give up, because I know that's one of probably one of the first couple of thoughts you start getting after you're like in the same spinning wheel. Like you're just like, oh my God, that's it. Like it's not going anywhere. No, I mean it is. It's just maybe you gotta like reroute. There's no exact answer, but I feel like those are the moments where you gotta try something else. Try something you haven't done before, because obviously what you've been doing isn't working. Yeah. So try something new. I feel like for us in Toy Snob, what really, really helped us out was all those collaborations. Whether they did good or bad, but it's another step. It's another step. It's another outlet to a different demographic that probably doesn't even know of us. Because what I tell Will is like, what's the worst case? Brand awareness.
Yeah.
Even if it's to 10 people that didn't know about us, but hey, brand awareness.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing that can happen. So I just feel like just try new things and collaborations. Don't look at collaborations as like the money and stuff. Just look at it as brand building. That's just you doing research and expanding the brand and doing a fun project out of it between two different people or two different brands. And that's just growth. Growth is progress. So
no, I love that, man. That's definitely that's definitely a good thing. Just a few more questions before my lunch break ends. So I just kind of wanted to see, I know you guys have a huge following on Instagram, and obviously I know don't always rely on the numbers, but it's fun to see when because like you look at it two ways. You see some people that have huge followings and they have very little interaction, but you guys have a very nice community and full of interaction. Can you share a little bit about social media and like what you guys think how you've built something in such a strong following in both your brands? Because it's not just you, it's like it's you have a great following, Outranked has a great following, and Toy Snobs all have great followings and interactions.
Okay. I mean, I'll definitely give the Instagram credit to my partner, because he's the one that controls all that and handles all crazy DMs sometimes, and but yeah, he crushes it. Like he knows like what to post, maybe like how to promote the next product that's coming out. So he'll start like hinting pictures. He finds these videos, like HD looking videos, and I'm like, where did you?
Yeah.
But he's that guy. Like he really gives it his 100% looking for this content. And there's a girl running our social media at Outrank brand. So I mean, I'll give her the credit for that. And then for myself, I just post what's happening in my life. Yeah, or what's happening in my life, what project I just finished, or yeah, like I go by no, like, rhythm or
Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason. You just kind of post with what's going on. No, it makes total sense.
Today is Tuesday, and here you go. Like
yeah, man, for sure. Last question, just I'm kind of what advice would you give someone? I know we've talked about a few things. Is there any other advice or mantra or thing that you follow that you think would be helpful for someone who is either starting out or wanting to start out something that you think that they would, that you think would help, maybe help them, inspire them, besides stop thinking and start doing?
Yeah, if your heart's not in it, it's not worth it. Like if you're just doing something for the money, you're already failed. Like like a lot for design, I could relate to design. So many people want to get it, because there's good money. Okay, yeah, there's good money and there's bad money. But if your heart's not in it, like I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna fail, like, because you're chasing the wrong thing. Like if I would design for fun, like I would make up logos. The reason why I got into clothing was because I started liking clothing, whatever. And then I was like, man, like I wish I worked with like these brands and all that stuff. And like I remember seeing like Johnny Cupcakes and The Freshness and all these other brands, and I'm like, man, it'd be so cool to do. So I came up with a clothing line. And it ended up going places too. It failed, but that's because I learned about partnerships. I learned about bad partnerships. I learned about investors. I learned about bad investors. So we got to a great place, but then it crumbled down as faster than I can say it, But I did get to learn a lot in the process.
Well, it's help you build what you have now. So I mean, it kind of, like you said, you failed forward, is kind of how it worked, right? So that's definitely good, man. Last thing, tell people where they can follow and support you.
My Instagram is at Friks84. You could also follow us at Toy Snobs, at Outrank Brand, and that's pretty much. I only really use IG these days. I'm not much of a Twitter guy.
Yeah,
minimal Facebook. Maybe for like family members and stuff like that, but mostly Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great outlet. It's a visual outlet, which is perfect. It kind of gives you everything that you have. So yeah, that makes total sense. Oh, actually, last thing, do you have any questions for me? Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I thought you were gonna.
No, I forgot, man. It's because this is brand new, man. It's like I got one of my guests did it right before I ended, and he started asking questions, and I was like, maybe I should incorporate this. So I totally forgot but yeah, I'm sorry. What question you got for me?
I got one question. I got one question, and the one answer you can't give me.
Okay.
Okay. So the one answer you can't give me is, because I love them. Okay.
Yeah.
Why sandwiches?
Why sandwiches? So,
like, why make a brand out of sandwiches?
Why make a brand out of sandwiches?
But don't say, because I love sandwiches.
No,
I don't want to hear that answer.
No, okay. I got you, man. I got you. So if money wasn't an object, I probably would open a sandwich shop. I think I'll give you a few versions of the answer. One, I will say that my parents do not think that I think of the sandwich as the king of meals. So I can have it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert. My parents do not. My parents are like, that's almuerzo, that's lunch, and that's it. And so for me, I kind of feel like in many ways, and then as a kid, I was growing up, I kind of grew up a little, I would say a little chubby. I guess, or I always kind of had that, I was husky or whatever it is. And so then I never really had sandwiches for lunch. It was always like the little container of tuna or whatever. And it was like, I never had lunch. So I think it was because of that, because in all honesty, I didn't eat sandwiches until I probably was once I was out of my house and I was in college, and then I started eating sandwiches. I would make things into sandwiches when I wasn't around, but I think that's what it was. I think it was I was deprived of it, which then made me more obsessed with it. And so it was one of those where I just kind of, for me, it's just something that I love. I love the fact that I can grab something and I can eat it with between bread, and I pretty much would make everything into a sandwich. It's to me, that was which is hard. That's why I eat a lot of the low carb keto breads now. And I try to minimize that, which is very tough being a sandwich guy. But, I also know I have to, that's the reason why I have a clothing brand for it. I can wear the food I love instead of eating it. But that's kind of how it went. It just kind of went, I think, that way. And when I was looking to start the brand, my wife kept asking me, she's like, if you won the lottery, what would you do? And I was like, well, I'd probably, the two things that I loved really were, I had a t-shirt brand before, and I loved the idea of it, like designing it, coming up with ideas, the branding, the people wearing my stuff. But then I also love sandwiches. And I was like, and I always tell people I was inspired by like Johnny Cupcakes and Gary Vaynerchuk, but I wanted a brand where I actually like showcased and showed love to the sandwich. Like, it's not about me, it's about the sandwich. And so that's kind of how it started. So that's kind of the reason why. It's just one of those where I have a true love for it. Like, if I could eat it, there was a long time I was eating a sandwich every day, like 365. The average person eats 193 sandwiches a year. I was eating at least 365, at least
You
minimum.
don't love sandwiches until you know stats on sandwiches.
Yeah, man. I'm a sandwich. I'm definitely not like a expert, but I mean, I'm a sandwich, maybe a sandwich matter expert, but I definitely have a love for it, man. I definitely, I like you said, like, you have to have a passion for it. And that's before I even started the brand. I was like researching and learning as much about different sandwiches and history about them. And sometimes it's good and bad, right? Because like when you get so into the nitty gritty and niched, it doesn't transpire as much for other, like, sometimes because people don't get it unless they're in the same place as you. So there's a positive to being niche, and then there's a negative to it when you're too deep. Like, I made a sticker with someone, that was going to be a shirt, and it was going to be for Ruben, who is if for Lilo and Stitch, he is the version of, he is like an alien, but he's obsessed with sandwiches, which only if you watch like Disney stuff and all that stuff. But I made a design. If Ruben owned a sandwich shop, this is what it would look like. And it was like a space shuttle, but it was like, no one knows what the heck it is. And that's where it becomes like, how deep and narrow do I go? Cause, or so you can almost sometimes have to go wider, but yeah, that's an interesting one. But yeah, man, did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that was good. Also, follow up.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned it, where's the keto sandwich shirt?
Yeah,
like, you gotta tackle that community too.
Yeah, man. I don't.
That's the whole.
We may have to.
You and I may have to.
You and I may have to talk about that, because I don't know how you would illustrate a keto type. Oh
yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying that's the healthy guy.
Yeah,
the healthy guy that loves sandwiches. That he had to, retire his old bread.
Yeah.
Now for the keto bread.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of the joke that I tell people when people ask me. They're like, "Hey, well, how come you don't have this?" And I said, "Well, my sandwiches don't have any calories, no carbs, man." I'm like, you can wear them. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like wearing them, because I can wear them even though I may not be eating them all the time. I can at least wear them, and show support for them. So yeah, it definitely works.
One thing I want to see you do is do more collaborations with sandwich shops.
It's funny because that's something that
and not just in Orlando.
No.
Reach out.
Reach out. I definitely want to do something like that. It's trying to find the right balance of because the hard part for me, and that's something that, is the fact that I'm not the designer. So I have to find someone who can design for me that's at the right cost. And then the hard part for me is I deal with so many small sandwich shops that some of them don't have the money for this. So it's like, and then with the pandemic as well, it's like a mixture. Like, that would be dream case scenario to be able to do like a design for those different sandwich shops. I've even thought about like maybe making some of my stuff available at those sandwich shops, but then it becomes it's the whole like logistical aspect of like, do you do this or do you not do this? Because all my stuff comes wrapped like a sandwich. So would I do that there or no? Most likely not. I think it would be, for me, it would be like, you get that only at Deli Fresh Threads, and then you would just get a shirt, and you wouldn't get the same experience, but you would get the shirt. But yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to be able to. I mean, that's kind of where I think the growth of this brand's going to have to go, is there. So I appreciate the fact that you think that, because that's kind of where I'm kind of thinking I'm going to have to go. I want to be a part of those shops, whether I'm either selling like pins and stickers and something, like start getting inside of those shops and then being able to create that relationship to then kind of collaborate together to make something.
Yeah.
is the
Definitely.
idea. So yeah, that's definitely I appreciate it, because yeah, that's something that I've thought of. It's just it's just me. So I'm just trying to figure out, how do I balance it all? And then how do I make those relationships? And then how do I make it where it's, and like you said, that sometimes you have to do those collaborations, even though it's more for brand awareness, is trying to figure out like that whole aspect of how do I make it work so that it's beneficial, at least for everyone, to be able to do it where it's not, I'm not taking, it's not hurting me at the end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, man. Even if you break even, bro. Like I remember when we started out Toys Now, like that was my goal, break even.
Yeah.
Like, and we didn't break even all the time. Like those one collection that we were like in the negative, and it was on my partner's credit card. It took a little while to get it out.
Yeah.
But we got it out. Like now it's like, all right, cool. We see the profits and stuff like that. But I remember in the beginning, I was like, man, if we break even, we're good. All we gotta do is sell 25 shirts so we can print our 50 shirts, and then we're good. And then that was like my mentality,
Yeah.
because the minimum run was 50.
50. Yep.
So I was like, all right. And once we sold like 23, 24, I'm like, all right, I felt good. Um, luckily these days we're printing more. So
yeah, I was gonna say, I definitely know you're printing more than 50.
Yeah.
Especially with pre-orders,
so
but that's a good thing, man.
We're definitely meeting the minimum printing run now. But yeah, in the beginning it was like that for a couple years, Like we were just like, all right, man, just get the minimum. I remember one shirt that we dropped. I'm not gonna say which one, so we could stay a mystery. But we sold 11.
Wow.
We sold 11. Now we got stuck with.
Did you put those on sale, or what did you make them a mystery shirt? What did you? How did you guys?
No, yeah. We ended up liquidating them during a Black Friday sale for like $10 each, like something just like get rid of them.
Yep.
Or $14. I forgot what price it was. That's how we got rid of them. I never want to see that shirt ever again.
Yeah. No, I have some of those. I have some of those albatrosses that are like hang around my neck, and they're like, and I look at them here, or they're hidden somewhere in a box, because I'm like, I just need to get I need to get them out of there, out of my sight and out of my life. So I get that. I get those, that some of those that work and some of them that don't work out. So I totally get that.
Yeah. And then there was one drop we tried. Another thing about having a brand too, it can maybe go places that you like. Your consumer and your clients can maybe have a different eye than what you want to do. Like they collectively, like, I don't know, they expect something from you. So we tried to dabble into horror, and it backfired immediately. And luckily it was a pre-order, and we didn't sell one.
Really?
It was a Jason shirt, and we didn't sell one. So you kind of get to learn your clients too. Like, oh no, you're not the horror brand.
Yeah.
Probably nobody knows that until now.
Yeah.
But we didn't sell one. Me and my partner looked at each other like, oh, all right. So I guess we're not doing horror.
Yeah, I guess not.
They take it down.
Yeah, it's like I wanted to do for a little while. I wanted to do one was called Jason's Deli, and it was that was the hard part, because every time I there was someone who did one where it looked like Jason was running a sandwich shop. But the problem was, every time I when I would post an image from someone, because I was interested in working with them on it, Jason's Deli would actually keep following me and trying to look. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not playing that game, because I know for a fact you're going to come after me. I'm like, because they were liking it. They were liking it, and they were doing all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, no. I'm like, I'm going to have to think of a different concept or how I would go about this if I made it, because it's something that I thought would be funny to do. But then it's obviously based on the name of Jason's Deli. So that's so it becomes, so it'd have to be maybe somebody else, maybe Freddy's Deli.
Yeah. Right. That's exactly what, or Chucky's Deli,
yeah,
Freddy's Deli,
yeah,
like
something like that. So I don't know. We'll have to see. It might be a game I'll play one of the holidays. Well, sweet, man. I really appreciate it. You taking the time to come chat with me. I know we'll be chatting again soon to hopefully talk about some other shirt ideas. Cause I always love being able to work with you and have your stuff in my menu item. So I definitely appreciate everything you do, man.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, man. Well, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for Alex for being on and having lunch with me. Definitely make sure to check them out online. Like I said, it's Friks84. It's Toy Snobs. It's Outranked brand. Definitely go out and take a look. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe. If you want to support, check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads, and do some shopping and tell your friends. Thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.